Excellent. So we have a couple people who may hop on as they are able, but I wanted to welcome everybody tonight. For those of you, I know a lot of you, but if there are any of you I haven't met, I'm Joanna Walker. I am a leader in the Glendale GPS chapter. I think a lot of you are GPS members. If there are any of you who aren't, we want to welcome you tonight. And I am going to go ahead and read Miss Pearl's introduction here. So let's see here. So imagine that you've been asked to make a presentation about your business and services on Zoom. This isn't your first time making a virtual presentation, but the last few times you did, you seem to have some trouble with the technology, keeping your audience engaged, generally making it a good time for all. So now, the thought of doing this again has you concerned and you're wondering if it's really worth making this presentation. Will it actually help my business grow? If you asked our speaker today what she thought, she'll say yes, make the presentation, because yes, it will help your business grow. As long as you have the fundamentals down on using Zoom and keeping your audience engaged. That's why it's great you're here today to learn those keys. And in case you're wondering, our speaker, the lovely Miss Pearl Filani, is not a millennial. Despite the fact that she looks like she only graduated from college a few years ago, it's probably the Mary Kay and the good nutrition and all that good stuff. She has 20 years of marketing experience, 20 years of event planning experience, specifically corporate event planning, 4 years of online event planning, including planning the Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College at Arizona State University inaugural online conference. And last year, she earned an additional certificate in online event planning. All that's to say, she has a lot of experience planning events that are engaging and garner results for her clients. So we are excited to have her here as she helps us lay the foundation for our Roadmap to Success series, teaching us Zoom Basics Plus and how to engage your audience. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and hand things over to Pearl.
Oh, we lost Miss Joanna.
Uh-oh. Questions as well, please make sure, go ahead and type them in the chat box. I'll be checking chat box. Oh, can you hear me?
Kind of. I think we're catching up with you. Possibly. Not sure.
Okay. If you have questions, put them in the chat box and I'll be checking it as we go. Don't wait till the end. Post them when you have questions. That way you'll remember them and we'll be sure to ask Pearl as we go along. So I'm going to go ahead and for real mute myself now and go ahead. Thank you, Pearl.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here this evening. How's everyone doing? Good. Fantastic. We're going to start with a question because I'm nosy. That's the best way for me. And I'm going to ask you, how many of you have hosted an event or a meeting on Zoom before? Looks about almost half. Ooh, there's my friend. Hi, sweetheart. All right, so I saw almost half of the room have hosted. Okay, great. So the rest of you pay attention, but for those of you who have hosted, were you comfortable with being the host and running that meeting on Zoom? Yes, I see head nods across. Yes, that's great. Did you have any concerns or any concepts or any questions that you wish you had known beforehand? I see thinking. Well, if you did, go ahead and put those in the chat box. If not, as we're talking through this, hopefully we'll get a few more questions. But first, a little bit more about me. Just to reiterate, as Ms. Joanna has said, I specialize in corporate events, both in person, hybrid, and online now, given the world that we live in. And I've been playing with technology since I was a child. Growing up, if my mom had something that needed to be put together or had to play with technology, she would call me to do it instead of my dad, who was a computer science engineer, which I always found hysterical. Out of the two of us, she would pick me. But I just loved technology and I loved to learn. And even though I don't look it, I am not a millennial. I want to reiterate that. And the reason I say that is because I've had to learn all this new technology along with everyone else. Even though I love technology, as it came, I had to learn something new. It wasn't as if I grew up with a tablet in one hand and a smartphone in another, right? I've had to learn it along. And I don't know about any of you, but I mean, how many of you are tired of having to learn something brand new, what it seems like every 6 months? Anyone else? Or is it just me? Head nods, hand raises, anything? Okay, I at least got Joanna, and I've got some smiles. So for me, after a while, it's like, okay, what else do I need to learn? And after I've learned it, is it going to change on me yet again? That's always the question on the hand. But then we had 2021, right? 2020 hit, and all of us had to learn something new. So I think we should give ourselves a round of applause for learning all the technology, all the things that we did. Everyone, give yourself a round of applause. Come on, Miss Janie, give yourself, yeah. Lisa, give yourself a round of applause. Because that's not easy, to get the whole world to do something new, to communicate, to do business in a very new way. So celebrate that, because it tells me that you can do it. Right? I always saw, I think Marcy, Katie, and Yelena are the only people and of course Joanna, are all the people who have really hosted an event on Zoom. So the rest of you haven't yet. So that's why I say celebrate the fact that you've been on Zoom, you've been on these different platforms already, and you're getting used to them. So that means you can do this well, and you can use this platform to grow your business. Today, we're going to be talking about specifically how to do that. We're going to talk about security. We're going to talk about your Zoom space. We're going to talk about how to share your screen well, your camera angles, how to use emojis, breakout rooms, polls to keep your audience engaged and to get information that you need so that you can present your service or your business in such a way to increase your sales. Does that sound good? Yes? All right. Thank you. Next question, because, like I said, I'm nosy. By a show of hands, how many of you have a paid account? Okay, I see Elena has one, Joanna, Katie, and Miss Marcy, and Miss Jeannie. Fantastic. Good. If you do not have a paid account and you're planning on utilizing Zoom for your business, get a paid account. It does not cost a lot, right, ladies? For all the ones that raise your hand, the cost is minimal. Exactly. And I've had a paid account, and I don't actually use Zoom a lot personally. I attend on things on Zoom, but when I'm doing events or with clients, I use other platforms. I've been on almost 50 different platforms, and so I use different platforms for my events. But the cost is so minimal that it's worth it for me to pay it every month to have that paid account. Here's for some of the benefits you have. And thank you, Ms. Jerese, who did my run through, who helped me remind me the difference between a paid and free account, because I haven't had a free account for so long. One of the things is unlimited time. You don't have to worry about it. I think it's a 40-minute cap for free, and I'm getting head nods, right? With a paid account, you don't have time limits. You get, for the lowest paid account, which is what I have, and which is what most of you ladies would need, you're able to host up to 100 people on your event or meeting. That's huge. And those, when we start talking about engagement, things like polls, breakout rooms, you get access to all of those other options now as a paid account. And you want to be able to have access to all of that. So again, if you don't have a paid account, I highly, highly recommend that you get it. And kudos to everyone who already does. Yes, I'm giving you a gold star. Next thing we're going to talk about is security. How many of you remember last year when we all got shut down, we started, and then you were starting to hear breaches of security on Zoom, especially with school? In fact, our lovely, unfortunately, Miss Joanna had that horrid experience of someone actually breaking into our meeting. I don't think it was a GPS meeting. I think it was your networking together meeting, I believe, right?
It wasn't that one, but it was a different meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
It was frightening.
Yeah, it was frightening, right? Because someone just come in and they were sharing things they should not be sharing. And so since then, Zoom has done a lot to beef up their security, which is great. And we're gonna go there right now. And one of the things that they did was enacted the waiting room. Welcome, Ms. Pat. Great to see you.
Thank you so much. I literally was fixing my husband's Valentine's dinner because we couldn't do it on Valentine's Day, and I'm eating mine while we have this. So I'm sorry I'm a little late coming in.
No worries, and thank you. That's so very gracious of you to join us. And
you are so welcome.
I hope it's worth it. I feel a little pressure right now. But one of the things that they enacted was the waiting room, which you all had to enter into. And that's just one layer of security. And we're gonna go, in most accounts now, they automatically set it so that your waiting room is on. But I'm gonna, as you're seeing here, we're on Zoom online, but we're gonna go ahead and show you how you can double check that that's on for you. And you want it on because at least you can make sure you can check. And eventually Zoom is going to offer pictures. So when people are in the waiting room, not only do you get their name, but you'll be able to see their images as well. So you can once again, triple check this person's supposed to be in this meeting. Now, where am I? If you're wondering, I'm on zoom.usa. This is where you want to go to check all of your settings, okay? And right here, if you haven't signed in, like I'm always signed in at this point because I'm usually Zoom 4+ times a day. So if you haven't signed in, you'll sign in. And then it's usually your email password, and then it'll change to my account, like it shows on my screen. When you click on my account, these are profile, you're seeing all of my profile settings. You want to go to settings right here on the left under personal, go to settings. And this is now where you can check all of your meeting settings. Once you've set this, you don't have to come back here again. You can just, however you send your meetings or get onto Zoom, you can utilize it if you do it on the app or anything. You don't have to come back to Zoom USA to do your Zoom meetings. This is just where you want to check your settings because it's harder to do that on the app or so. But here, as you can see, waiting room, it's enabled for me. If it wasn't, it would be gray, but because it's blue, it's on. So you just want to check that. Same thing with meeting passcode. That's another layer of security for your event and for your meeting. So you want to make sure that that's on. Okay, those two things are important. Another way to protect your meeting is never post your link to your meeting online. I'm going to say it again, and I'll probably say it one more time. Never post the link to your meeting online or in a public setting or in a public place. You want to send that link directly to people who are registered for your event and only to them. Anyone want to guess why? Just turn on your mics and give me an answer, or you can send it, put your thoughts in the chat as to why you don't want to do that.
Because you'll have people joining your meeting that you don't want to join your meeting.
Exactly, Ms. Pat, what were you saying?
I said there are trolls out there.
There are trolls out there.
And so not only will they troll you, but it's a perfect way to get hacked by people who want your information. Because Zoom's one of the most popular things since we had COVID to hack information.
Yes, but the very simple answer is that link is the key. It's just like your house. So if you put that link out there, it's the equivalent of you putting your key into your front door and then being surprised that someone broke into your house. So you never want to put your link out publicly. Everyone say it with me. Never put your link out publicly.
What about never put your link out publicly, but what about if you're putting it, I know I get links periodically in the chat. What about putting the link in the chat to a person? How do you feel about that?
That's fine. I mean, it's up to you. When I think of publicly, it's more of on the internet, on a website, on a Facebook event page, right?
Okay.
So that's what I mean by publicly, meaning that someone hasn't registered or hasn't specifically asked you to be part of this event. But you put that link out there so they can enter in. Now you have the waiting room established, which is good. So that's one layer, a barrier to be able to stop a troll. But if you have a public event and it's 50 people or 100 people, you're not gonna know that. So you may unintentionally ask or invite someone. Now, does that stop someone who wants to do something bad from registering? It doesn't. But especially if it's a paid event and they're trying to do something bad, the chances of them paying to do that gets exponentially less, right? Because you're giving, it's harder and harder for them to do that. They're not necessarily going to want to spend money. But if you just put that link out there, wow, you made it easy. You just said, come on. And you don't want to do that. Does that help, Ms. Pat? Clarify the difference, what I mean by publicly?
Yes, I do. But I also have seen, and I've signed up for it, there are some virtual tours that's open to everybody. And the link is on the event page. But anybody can sign up and you see it right then and there. So that probably would be a little iffy, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. So if I'm planning an event for you or for a client, I wouldn't do that. I would have them register, and then anyone who's registered a few days, and you let them know, hey, about 3 days before this event, we're going to email you the information and the link to be able to join the event. That would always be my recommendations to my client.
Thank you so much, Pearl.
Oh, my pleasure. All right, we'll come back to Zoom Online here in a moment. So we've talked about security. Now we're going to talk about Zoom Base. And again, this may seem pretty basic to you, but these are things, as you being a professional, you want to make sure this is the foundation, right? When you're building a house, if your foundation's incorrect, if it has cracks, doesn't matter how pretty the rest of your house looks, at some point it's going to come crashing down. And we don't want your house to come crashing down. So that's why it's important. So let's talk about the Brady Bunch square here. Here are some things to think about. And if you want more, I actually offer up to 26 different classes. One of them specifically is a deep dive into your personal brand and how to position yourself and how to look great in the digital space. So those are one of the classes, but this is just quick. Okay, so let's see. I think the only person who has a virtual background right now is Ms. Pat. Everyone else it's their actual background, unless Ms. Katie, that is a really good virtual background or a green screen.
I like a virtual background. The only problem is the waves when you're trying to show a product. Then you get it.
We're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up. Ms. Katie, I'm trying to tell, is that your real background or is that also a virtual background on a green screen?
It's real.
Oh. And love it. Clean. Okay, you want a clean background. You'll notice with my background, there's not much going on. And that purse that's in the corner is very purposeful. It's part of my brand colors. You see it in my hair. My brand colors are rose gold and a deep violet purple. So that's why I have a lot of purses. I have a handbag. Love.
Your hair is beautiful. Just thought I'd say so.
Thank you so much. So I purposely hung, and I have handbags hanging on almost all the doorknobs in my house. So in my office, I purposely made sure that the handbag that was hanging on my doorknob went with my brand. And that's an instrument back there. The reason I'm pointing this out is the more things you have in your background, people actually are paying attention to those things in your background. I won't speak for anyone else. I'm nosy. So I tend to be looking around at people going, ooh, those are pretty sconces that Shirley has in her background. And I wonder what's up with all those crosses that Lisa has on her wall back there. People are just nosy. So the less you have for them to look at in your background, the better. If you're going to do a virtual background, it's better to have a green screen. You can purchase them. Staples has them. You can purchase them online for relatively inexpensive. They're usually about $150. But what it does is when you have that green screen, now that virtual background projects itself on that green screen and it becomes stable, which back to what Ms. Patty was saying is now you're not doing the ghosting, right? When you're moving around. And so you can now hold up your product and people will see it because that image is stabilized on the green screen. If you don't want to purchase it, I actually had a vendor friend and he bought I think 10 or 15 relatively inexpensive green poster boards, taped them to his wall, and voila, he had a green screen. You can get a green cloth and a rolling rack, same concept, hang it up, punch some holes, or just go to Joann's, punch some holes, do the shower rod hang it, whoosh, have a curtain, and then when you don't need it, roll it away. So you don't necessarily have to buy a green screen. Green is the best color for projections, backgrounds. Just make sure you don't actually wear green. And I know that might sound hysterical, but you will actually just fade away into the background if you are wearing green while projecting onto a green screen. Or more specifically, your image will go onto you as well.
Is it the green, like the green on my background, sort of right here where I'm?
Yeah, it's a nice, rich forest, that healthy, I've got a lot of sunlight kind of green.
Okay. Because there's all different shades of green.
Yes. Yeah. And if you just go onto Amazon and put in green screen, you'll see the color pop up, right? So you can at least see what the color looks like.
Okay.
But that's what you want to do. However, my actual recommendation is going to be don't use a virtual background. Have a clean background. Why am I saying that? Because outside of Zoom and a couple other platforms, most other platforms don't give you the option for a green screen. So if you're using some other platform, and you will, by the way, at some point be asked to use another platform, whether it's an event or a meeting. I've been on almost 50. I'm at 48 right now. I have the goal to be to 50 by the end of this month, because at this point it's fun for me. You don't have that option. So whatever is in your background, they're going to see it. So if you have a permanent green screen, they're just going to see you in front of a green screen, right? So you might as well make sure that your background and your setting is set up ready to go already because of that. Any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns? So far, are we doing good? Can everyone give me a head nod? Okay, great, thank you so much. Then we're going to talk about lighting. You can't see it right now, but I have 4 lights going on in my house. I've got 2 lamps, and then I have a ring light over here, and I have a ring light over here. I already had the 2 lamps in my office, so it wasn't like that cost me anything. And the 2 additional ring lights only cost me another $60, I think. And if you want, I have a list of all of my technology on my website, on my blog. You can go and get it. You can go directly to the links. It's really inexpensive. But you want to be lit up. Again, as a business professional, we want to see your face, right? We're connecting one-on-one. So you want to set your lighting in such a way that it just lights you up, so you don't have shadows. So it's very easy to see. Can you guys see me well? Yeah? Even with my hair, cascading to the side, you can still see my face. And that's important. And it looks natural, right? So there's a tinge to it. And so that's why that's important. When you're setting your camera, you want to set it as close to eye level as possible. If you set it too high, then it kind of makes it just is an awkward angle, like this. I'm going to move my camera. But if it's too high, it's awkward, right? And you start to look like, well, you just look odd. I don't want to be disrespectful, everyone. But if you set it and your camera angle is coming from up here, you now look like a giant, and more importantly, to your audience, it looks like you're talking down to them. And that you don't want that either. So you want your camera angle as close to eye level as possible. And then if your camera level is not at eye level, you actually are going to look at eye level on your screen. So does it look like I'm talking to you? I'm making eye contact to you right now? Okay, I'm looking at my screen, not my camera. Me looking at my camera right now, does it look like I'm looking a little bit up right now? A little, yeah, because I'm looking at my camera because my camera is not exactly at eye level. So I've had to practice looking at my screen so that I'm looking eye level to you, my audience, not to me. So those are things. So then again, and the reason why these are all important, because it just makes it feel warm and it gets as close to natural as you're possibly at if you were meeting in person, right? Because you're going to be looking eye to eye. And also don't look at your screen. Like it's hard. Like I want to look at what's going on with Joanna, what's going on with Yelena, what's going on with Katie. No, I still have to work really hard to look at directly at the screen. So to all of you, it still looks like I'm making eye contact to each and every one of you. Any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns? Oh, and you want to be as centered as possible in your camera. If anyone's done anything with photography, right? It's always that nice balance, the 3s. So in this space, you want to be as centered as possible. It gives you a nice sense of balance. All right. Looks like we're doing good. Any questions? No, we're doing good. Awesome. Fabulous. Well, now we're going to talk about...
Great.
Thank you, Ms. Pat. I appreciate it. Well, now we're going to go into some tips and tools about engagement, which is my fun part. And I've actually done pretty much all of them that we're going to talk about, except for breakout rooms. We're not going to do that, but we will talk about it. The first thing I'm going to do is fun times. We're going to do a poll. I'm watching right now, and the poll is going to ask you one question. For those of you who have hosted an event, what forms of engagement have you used before when hosting a meeting or an event? And if you haven't hosted one, there's an option for none. Okay? So go ahead, I'm gonna keep the poll open here for a few seconds. You should see it on your screen. You have the option to select all of them. I mean, you shouldn't because there's not an other, but meaning you can select multiple answers, not just one. All right, it's getting going. Anyone else want to answer? It's one of those rare times where I know how many people are actually in the room, so.
It's hard for me to tell if it took or not. Where am I clicking?
Yeah, it says that if we're hosts and panelists, you can't answer.
Oh, that's why, because I'm like, where do I click?
Yeah, sorry, Marcy, I should have told you that.
That's okay, but
You
now
don't get
I know.
You don't get to participate, but you can tell me. You can put it in the chat.
I'll put it in the chat.
Fantastic. All right, couple more seconds. I think it looks like everyone's answered. And we're going to end the polling. I'm going to share the results with you so you can see what I'm seeing as well. Joanna's used chat. It looks like chat's the big winner. Now this is fun. You know, in the other class, no one had done polls. So at least we had one person. So who's the one person who's used polls before?
I've answered polls, but I've never made a poll.
Okay, yeah, no, this is definitely making a poll for like this. So I made this poll. So Miss Katie, that's fantastic. Raising hands, which we did. Breakout rooms. Who's used the breakout rooms before? Chat and breakout rooms. Marcy, you've used the Yelena. Okay, fantastic. Well, these are all ways, which I love. Thank you so much for answering. I'm going to stop sharing results. And we're going to start with polls because, again, only one person has done it. Here's the thing about polls that I love. You can make them beforehand. So you don't have to do it on the fly. Now, with most of the subscriptions, paid subscriptions that you're going to have, you can only do one poll at a time. If you want to do another poll, you lose all the results of the last poll. But you can have multiple questions in your poll. And I'm going to, once again, share my screen and show you where you need to go. It's back to Zoom online. So Zoom USA becomes your good friend. So we talked about here. Now, if you have a paid account, but you don't see the option for polls or breakout rooms, which it doesn't look like for the four ladies that I saw that had it, but for future reference, you have to enable it. So once you have a paid account, you have access to it, but you have to then say, yes, I want it. And this is all still under settings. So remember, we went to Zoom, we went to my account, then we went to settings. And when you scroll about halfway down the menu list here, you're gonna get into this area. This is where you now can enable co-hosts. Like Joanna and Marcy are my co-hosts. So I don't have to worry about what's going on in chat because I have people looking at it, that if anyone needs to get entering into the meeting, I have someone who's taking care of that. And I can just focus on engaging with you fabulous ladies, okay? And here you have to enable polls, screen sharing, but this is where you do it. And then when you scroll down a little bit, you'll get to breakout rooms. But make sure that setting is on. Once yes, Ms. Patty?
Will cover, in other words, when you go to the settings, this will cover it for every meeting. It isn't specific for each meeting.
Correct. So this is set up for any meeting now that you will create. Now, to actually make a poll for your specific meeting, though, here it's already done. But what we would, I can't edit because obviously we're in the middle of a meeting, but let's say this was not live. What you would do is you would click on right, I'm just gonna do a fun one. Test really quick. And we'll do it for 7, yeah, okay, save. Just so you can see it, okay? So now here, what you're gonna do is you don't wanna edit, you don't wanna delete, you're actually gonna click on the link for that meeting that's in the feature. You're gonna scroll down to the bottom, and now here you're gonna click add. And you can now create, it's gonna ask for a title, question, options. You can have single choice, means that whoever's taking the poll has to pick one choice. The poll that I had was a multiple choice, meaning that you all could answer more than one answer. And then you can add more questions. Once you've added all the questions you want, you hit save, and voila, you have your poll. And then when you go into your meeting, once you start that meeting, how you get to polls is you should all see your menu at the bottom of your screen, correct? Right, do you see a menu? It says participants, chat, whatever. Keep going over to your right, you're gonna see three dots. Click on that, more, and if you have polls enabled, it should, and a paid account. For all of your free accounts, you probably won't see it, but for my paid accounts, that's where you go, you click on polls, and that poll that you've created for that meeting will be hanging out there waiting for you. Marcy, I don't know if you're thinking or if you're looking, or if you have a question.
So I will see those 3 dots when I'm hosting the meeting.
Right, this is when you're hosting a meeting. I keep forgetting to mention that part. So as a participant, you won't. But when you're hosting those meetings, you will see the 3 dots, and then it'll now list all your options. So you'll have the option for breakout rooms, for polls. You can go live on Facebook Live, right? You can go live on YouTube Live. The reason those are all great is this is a further reach for you as a business. So you can host your Zoom meeting, have people come to your Zoom meeting, but then you can go live on Facebook, and that's a whole nother audience. So, people, and all you have to do is on that event say, hey, join us at this time as we go live talking about this topic. Like maybe Marcy, she's doing her tips, and so maybe she wants to do her top 10 tips, nutrition tips, right? And go live. You can come to the actual event, or you can just join us live on the Facebook Live. And it's a click of a button, which is really nice. Another thing is, just FYI, always record your Zoom meetings, because this is content. Because now you can post that somewhere else. You can use that on your social media pages. You can post it up to your YouTube page. How many people have a YouTube page for their business? Okay, I see no one.
I have one, but I don't use it.
Okay, well, maybe not. But even if you don't, Marcy, you do a lot of things on Facebook and Instagram. Video still works well on both of those mediums, right? And so you can take, in this case, like this hour presentation, I can chop it down to 30 seconds, pit by pit, and use that content so many ways. If you do email, I got a text from Marcy. You can send a text link video. If you want to show people what you do, you now have that video. So record it. You're already presenting that information to people. So you might as well record it while you have it live with feedback from audience, so that you can now repurpose that content, and you don't have to think of, okay, what else can I have to talk about? You have that. You have this video that you can cut up into so many ways. It's like the never-ending filet mignon of a food for you, for your business. Okay?
What would you be, as far as recording, what app would you use to cut your recording into pieces?
Well, I'm not a big Apple gal. I'm not against Apple. I'm a PC. So do you have Apple or PC before I answer that question?
I have PC, but I wasn't talking about Apple. I was asking if there's an application or app to use. No,
I understood your question, but the reason I say is my answer was going to change if you said you use Apple products versus PC products. Because on PC, if you have a newer computer, they actually have already built into their PC video editor. And that's how I do so I don't even know how I found this. I think I just Googled video and it popped up. So I Googled video editor, I say that, I put it into search. Oh, poor Google. So type into search video editor and it'll pop it up, and then So as long as you already have your video saved on your computer, so you may have to download, but have it saved on your computer, you can now search for it, get it, pull it in, and you can now use it. It's a basic video editing system. And if you've seen any of my videos, anyone that follows me on social media, any of the videos I've done, those were all edited through this video editor. And it's a great process for anyone who's not a video editor. It's very basic, so you don't get to do a lot, but you can do enough. You can add some words into it. You can chop off the video. And if you need some more help, I'm happy to walk you through how to use it. But does that help, Yelena?
Yes, another question I had, I know when I try to record my classes, it limits amount of memory I can use. Is there a way?
Are you recording it to your PC or to the cloud?
To a cloud.
Okay, yes, you do have a max. The lowest account's like 2 gigabytes, I believe. And so that usually translates to about almost 2 hours. Almost 2 hours. Yeah. So you know that, or you can actually record it to your computer as well. Mm-hmm. And then, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm recording it to my computer, and then I'm going to, once it converts it, I'm going to upload this video into my Google Drive, so it's not on my hard drive anymore. So if you don't want to worry about a limit, you can increase your paid account, or you can just save it directly to your computer. And then once it's done, move it to your cloud system. Like all of my content, my business, I save it to my Google Drive, my business Google Drive, because it has enough storage space.
Yeah, but then Google Drive also has a limit, right?
It does, but my limit's huge. So
okay.
I would suggest increasing your Google Drive because the cost is so minimal. I mean, at this point, I pay for 2 Google Drives. I have my personal and I have my business, and I still spend less than, I believe, $25 a month, but I have a lot of storage space for that. So it's worth it as you continue to grow your business, as you continue to have the content.
Okay, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Any other questions? How's everyone doing? Still good? Still with me? All right, well, thank you so much for your time. We're gonna go right into emojis. So some of you had said that you used emojis before, right? I'm sure a lot of you have actually used it to respond. You guys know where all the emojis are? Your nice little smiley face down there. Yes, I see everyone head nodding. As a speaker, have you ever asked your audience to respond using emojis? Yes, Miss Yelena has. I got the thumbs up.
So I know where emojis are on my phone, but not the computer. Are they on computer too?
They are on computer. Yes, and I see Joanna and Ms. Pat, fantastic. They are. Ms. Shirley, that menu down on your computer, you usually see like a smiley face. When you click on that, it shows you multiple different emojis. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here because we don't need that anymore. Okay. Now, as a host, you're not gonna see them necessarily, but as all your participants will see that smiley face. The reason I say that is you can use that to say, hey, can everyone go ahead and give me a thumbs up or a smile if you're having a good time tonight? So I'm gonna have you do that for me. Go use your emojis, go ahead and give me a thumbs up or a smile if you've at least learned one thing tonight from this time. Awesome, thank you. I got some hearts, I've got some claps, I've got some thumbs up. As a speaker, that just feels so good, right? Because when you're in person, you can physically feel people's responses. But in Zoom, it's a little bit harder to do that. So this is a great way for you as a speaker to get that feedback that's nice to have. Yes, Ms. Pat.
How do you, it just went away. It just has a time element, then it goes away?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
thought we had to do, which is why I kept you understand.
Yes, I do understand. Nope, just once you click it, it'll eventually go away on itself. It's usually like about 15 seconds. So it's not overly long. Now, what you may not know is that you have other additional options that you can present to your audience. When you click on the participants, that menu down, it goes to a list of participants. Underneath that, you should see another menu that has like, yes, a green checkbox, a no, go slower, go faster, more. Do you all see that when you click on participants?
And it has raise hand as well?
Yes. So here's another way for you to get feedback from your audience. You can say, hey, go ahead and say yes or no to this question. You know, like when I asked the question, have you hosted an event before? I could have said, could you click on the yes or no? Now, the difference though, is if I said, like, Katie, have you hosted an event? And I say, could you click the yes or no button? Go ahead and click one of the answers. What happens is when she does that, I only see it on my participant side, right? Whereas when you do the emojis, everyone sees it, right? When you guys all did the emojis, we all saw your reaction. The reason this might be nice is if you're asking a sensitive subject, or if someone for whatever reason is shy, this is a way for them to participate without their answer being seen by everyone else. It gets even better because there's the go slower or go faster. So this is a way now for your audience to tell you, hey, you've belabored this point, go faster, or I'm missing it, can you go a little bit slower? And they can tell you these cues without you having to ask for it. So you just let them know these are options available to them. And then underneath the more, you still have the like, dislike option, you know, thumbs up, thumbs down, the clap option, and then you have a coffee, which means I need a break. And this is great if you're doing a long meeting and you forgot to schedule a break. If you start seeing a whole bunch of coffees, again, this is something you want to tell your audience at the beginning. Hey, here are these other options. So if you need to send me a message, go ahead and use this. And if you start seeing a whole bunch of coffees, I need a break, you know, let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break and we'll come on back. But this is a way for your audience to tell you that without having them to blast it to everyone else. And then lastly, there's the little time which just says that they're away. So if for whatever reason they want to let you know that they're walking away for a few minutes, they can tell you that way as well. But I like it because, like I said, it's a private way of doing that. And then you can also raise your hand. They can also raise their hand if they have a question and they don't want to put it into the chat to everyone, or even just privately directly to you. So what do you guys think about that? Yeah, so again, just all these different options and ways that you can get your audience to engage with you, and you just let them know how to do that. We're not going to do a lot with breakout rooms, but that is an option. Yes, Ms. Pat.
I was going to say, I know some people aren't aware of the fact when you go under participants, you'll see a little point there that has me. And that's where you can, I believe it's right click, and you can type, if you haven't put it in when you're going into the room, you can change it. And I could put Queen Latifah if I wanted to, you know, to change it, or, you know, baby cakes jewelry, you know, wears baby cakes wears jewelry kind of thing. But you can change that and put your business in there. And I don't know how many people are aware of that, but when you're on a call where they don't know you, I mean, we all know each other here, but if you're going into a call where, you know, there's always guests coming in, you might want to leave your business up because it, you know, you have your business. Now, for me, it has my name and it has a little bit of my business. And if I wanted to, because who remembers Fellhaber, I can eliminate Fellhaber and just have Pat, comma, and then my business name, which would show more of that.
Yes, this is what I have, and that's true. So you can rename yourself. You can also set it as your default. Back to that settings account, you would stay on the first page, not the settings. When you were in my account, you can change it. So as Marcy knows, my business name, and Joanne knows, this is my business account. Zoom is a business account. And so it used to just say Lady Jewel. And I actually just changed it recently so that the default setting is Pearl of Lady Jewel. And so that's what shows up. But when I was going into meetings, I was always renaming myself. And that's how you can do that. You can just, as Ms. Pat said, when you go into participant, if you scroll over your name, a little arrow pops up, and usually you can more or right click and it'll give you the option to rename yourself if for whatever reason you want to do something different than what is your current default. But if you find yourself changing your name to the same thing, I just say go ahead and change your default in your main Zoom account. And that's also how you change your photo, by the way. So I'm going to turn off my video for a second, but that photo that you see there, I actually added it again into the Zoom. And so instead of just my name, if I didn't have a photo, it would just have the name on there. But this is another way, if for whatever reason, like when I have to be at, say a networking group at 7 a.m. and I'm not video ready, this is a way for me to be video ready without actually being video ready.
I have another question. As soon as you did that photo, I have downloaded my photo on some of them. When I bring it up and you're seeing me on your, line of people who are attending, I get up and you see me get up. And I find that very interesting because I've seen on other ones where they put the photo up and you don't see a person getting up and moving.
Then you didn't turn off your camera. The only way that would have happened is, did you turn off your video stream? Like what I did is I turned off my video stream. So what did you do specifically?
Well, you have a choice when you stop video. I was going to say, hang on a second. When you stop video, when you go to virtual background, I put my photo in the virtual background. All right. And then,
oh no, no, you didn't stop your video. You just changed your virtual background. That's why they still see you.
Okay. So you have to stop your video and then, put up like your photo.
Right. So when I hit stop video, this image that you're seeing, and I'll show you here in a second. Or if you want to wait afterwards, is this helpful for everyone to know? If not, I'm going to continue, Ms. Pat. I can show this to you after we're done.
Yeah, you can show it to me later if nobody else is interested. I know a lot of people will stop their camera and just have it blank, where I'd like to be able to stop if I really have to move for a minute and have my photo on there.
Right.
Okay.
So I see a couple other head nods. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick screen share and show you where you actually put that video. And it's back in the Zoom world. And I'm just trying to find my Zoom page here. Did I close you? Nope, there we go. Okay. So back again in Zoom world on your profile, right? There's the picture. So that's where you change it or you delete it. If you have nothing here, then all people are going to see is the name. But you go ahead and click, in my case, it says change because I have a picture. Click change is going to give you the option to upload a picture. Once you upload it, then now when you hit stop video, don't go to video settings, just hit stop video. Then that's the default picture people will see.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And if you haven't uploaded video or a picture, I would do that, or at least your company logo, because like Miss Katie right there. So it's very nice and it's a nice clean, and people at least still get to see you, even if they don't get to see you live. Okay, so we've talked about emojis, we've talked about polls, we've talked about breakout rooms. What I was going to say with breakout rooms is just like polls, you can actually pre-create your breakout rooms, just like polls in your meetings. And so you don't have to think about these things on the fly. If you already know, let's say you are talking about like Miss Yelena, let's say she wants a breakout room for, here's how you can create these 3 oils. Here are just the basics of oil essentials. And here, let's delete that. My test is coming up. The test meeting that I set, it's like, 5-minute warning. My bad. But she can set up those breakout rooms before the event starts, just like how I showed you can do the polls. You just do that for breakout rooms, which is really nice. So again, you don't have to do any of these things on the fly, and you have them ready to go. Thank you, Marcy. Have a great day. But you don't have to do them on the fly.
I have another question as well.
Okay, Miss Patty, if we could hold, because we are running out of time, so I just want to make sure, I want to be honoring of everyone's time. And then if you still have some more questions afterwards, I'm happy to stay afterwards and keep chatting and answering those questions. I just want to make sure we cover everything. And we are almost done. And then as far as engaging presentations, those are actually a form of engagement. And so that's a great way, another great way, as I said. What I didn't mention is with polls, we'll see. With polls, that's a great way to gather information. When you're doing an event or a meeting and you don't know the audience really well, you can actually use that poll in the beginning of your meeting so that you can get a lay of the land. Like say for Miss Katie, you can say, okay, how many makeup artists are in the room? or are brand new people? Or are you looking for skincare? Or are you looking for more eye care? And now you can tailor your presentation to that audience based on how they answer that poll. You're the subject expert. So yeah, you may have a presentation you're going through, but really you know these things. So you have the ability to tailor it. And if you use that poll, now you're giving them the information that they need versus guessing the information that they want. So that's a strategic way of being able to utilize polls. It's a fun way, but it's also, you can use it very strategically. Quick recap, we talked about get a paid account. Most of you didn't have one, so highly suggest you do have a paid account. Remember security, waiting room, and what's the one thing you should never do with your link?
Post it where anybody can see it. Send it to them in private message or in an email, but you never post it on your event.
Yes. Good job. Don't post it publicly. Right. And then we talked about camera angle and your Zoom. We talked about how to engage, be engaging. We talked about chat. We talked about emojis, breakout rooms, polls, raising hands, presentations. And then what I did in the very beginning is one of the best ways to really engage your audience. I said hello to all of you as you came in, I hope. Yes. Okay. I was like, I hope. And I tried to get to know a little bit about who you were so that as I was talking through my presentation, I could pull you in. Now, if you're doing an event, 50, 100 plus people, that's a lot. But if you did that to at least the first 5 or 10 people that entered the event, and then still do the same thing where you're interspersing them into your presentation, even though you don't talk to everyone that's attended the event, everyone's still going to feel warm and fuzzy inside because it makes them feel like, oh my gosh, she's getting to know this person, she might pick me next, right? And you're creating that personal engagement. So I highly suggest that you do that no matter how big your event is. At very least, say hello to the first 5 to 10 people, chat with them a little bit, and then utilize them throughout your presentation as you're giving out examples of how to do this. Oh, Yelena, here's how you do. Miss Shirley, here's how you do this. Miss Pat. And it gets the rest of the audience to feel warm and fuzzy. As I mentioned, I offer several other classes, about 26 other classes. And if you would like more information, I'm going to go ahead and put my information in the chat because I know we're running out of time, and I really appreciate that you stayed around for the full day, for the full meeting.
Thank you for taking your time for us because you did this twice today, not just once. So it's definitely your time as well. We really appreciate what you've done for us.
Oh, my pleasure. But feel free, there's all of my contact information. And at the very bottom, there's a link. I do group workshops. So it's similar to this, but deep dive. So there's a whole workshop actually here in 2 days, if you like to go even deeper, where you learn about it, but then I walk you through on your end. So you're going to share your screen and we're going to make sure all your settings are correct. If we were doing engaging with people, you get to practice with the audience in class on being engaging and using these different tools. And so if you go ahead and you go to those links, you can see the 6 workshops. And then I'll be sending an email here in the next couple of days to you saying thank you very much. And I'll have a list of the other classes and the other options available.
And do you charge for this? Because I mean, there's a couple other groups that I'm in, and what you gave us was really, a free session, and that's why I'm asking that question.
Yeah, so they are charged. For the group classes, it's $30 per participant, and it's a cap at 11 people. And then for the one-on-one sessions, it depends on time. It's $100 for an hour or $55 for 30 minutes. So I try to make it reasonable, but there is a charge.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
The classes, for those people who are GPS members, the classes were at no cost tonight because GPS covered Pearl's cost. So it's a great benefit of our membership. So,
well, if you have any questions, and yes, and I think we lost Joanna for a second, but she's correct. GPS is, as a member, it was no cost to you because GPS covered that cost. And so this is the kickoff of the roadmap to success for GPS. So it's an honor to be able to kick off this series for your group, for your ladies here. So now, I know Ms. Pat, you had some question. Are there any other questions? Yes, Ms. Katie?
I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the linking this live streaming, like with the way to do that with Facebook or, onto the Zoom.
Sure. I just want to let you really quick, if you don't have any other questions, the formal part of the presentation is done, so you are free to move around the country, as they say. Thank you, Yelena. It was great seeing you. And then, of course, if you have any more questions, like I said, I'll stay. Ms. Katie, and then we'll go to you, Ms. Pat. You had a question. I can't share my screen to show you this, unfortunately, but as a host, what you would do is you go to the 3 dots, and you will see go live on Facebook. And what it does is it's going to take you to Facebook, you log in to it, and it goes from there. So it literally step by step walks you through what to do from there. Does that help a little bit? I know it's hard because I literally, unfortunately, can't show you that and share my screen to show you. But what it'll do is you click on live on, so you go to the more setting, on your bottom menu, then there's live on Facebook. Click that, and then it's going to pop up a browser for you to log into your Facebook account. It's going to ask you where you want this. You're going to say on your news feed, on your timeline, and then you'll say okay, and then you're live on Facebook.
So do you give I guess you can give the Zoom link and a Facebook page so they can watch either way, right?
Exactly. So what I would suggest is, if you're having people register for your Zoom link, go ahead. But let's say you have a whole audience on your Facebook page. I would just create a Facebook event. If you're going to do it free, because live is free, create the event and then say, we're going live at this time, because it's going to automatically happen. So come back to this event and we're going to go live at this time. That's how I would do it if I was doing the event, or if I was counseling a client of mine who was doing an online event that way. I hope that helps.
I think that does. Thank you so much. Really appreciate this. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Miss Pat. And Katie, if you, like I said, I put in my contact information. So if you have any questions, or if you want to practice, do like a mini full one, I'm available for that as well. Miss Pat, what was your question?
Asked the question, but I think when I first met you, Scott's group, remember?
Yes, at EE. Mm-hmm.
Right, this event ensemble, and I was going to say, when I saw your name, I didn't realize you're part of GPS. So what do you call a very small world? Yes, down at the bottom where it says 2, and then you see everyone, and then you have a little arrow that goes down. Well, now in your meeting, and I've been in other meetings where all participants are listed individually, so that if I wanted to send a message to Katie, I could do that without having it in the entire chat. But I also have been at meetings where it's just been the host and then everyone. Do you have to designate that you want the list for each participant, or so you have to ask?
Yeah. So, well, you don't have to ask. When you're setting, remember that settings page? That's another option. Mm-hmm. And we can go back there again quickly. Yep, I shared the wrong screen. You don't want to see.
Oh, that's cute. It says, "Hi, lady." That was darling.
I was like, you don't want to see all of my texts, or?
No, not really. I don't think you want us to see them.
And I was like, do I want you to see all now? Let me go to the right Google screen. I have too many screens open now at this point. Oh, did I close it? I may have closed it. Okay, let me open it up again. But what you're going to do is you're going to go to the settings page. Again, like we did before for Zoom. And one thing I didn't share in the main class, but I'm going to share here, never apologize when you're sharing screen, because sometimes there's that delay. Like when I'm sharing my screen here, I have 2 screens going, so it makes it a lot easier. But if you only have the one screen, you only have the one screen, and it's harder to see everything. Don't apologize. Just keep chatting and giving that information until you get it going for your end. I say that because I see a lot of people going, "Oh, I'm so sorry, it's not working." I was like, stop apologizing. You're a professional. We all understand. Stuff happens. Just keep on chatting, and then once you got what you need to do, now go to it. So we're gonna go back to my account. We're gonna go here to settings.
Okay.
And then you're gonna scroll. Eventually, we'll get there. and you'll get about halfway into the middle. Here it is for chat. Okay, so chat's on, right? And then private chat is what you were talking about. It's also enabled. Sometimes you may not want that. If it's off, then you don't have that option.
Okay.
And then if you click on here, that means that people won't be able to save the chat, but you never want to do that. You really want people to be able to save their chat.
Oh yeah.
But I just wanted to at least show you. So here are the options.
Thank you.
My pleasure. And then for me as a host, I have it set to automatically save my chat, so I don't have to think about it. You can turn that off, but I have it on. So when I close down, I don't have to remember, oh, save the chat. It's automatically going to save it for me as the host, not as the participant, but as the host. All right. Any other questions?
No, it's very well done, Pearl. You really explained it so nicely and so clearly. And we really appreciate you taking your time to do this.
Oh, it is definitely my pleasure.
Thank you.
Oh, definitely my pleasure. You know, like I told Ms. Debbie, I had a lot of time this past year to learn some things. And I know that it's been difficult for all of us to just grow business. So this is an opportunity. Really, that's why I don't charge a lot. It's more of a give back, the opportunity to be able to pass on that knowledge so that we can all grow and all thrive in our businesses, utilizing all these now new tools available to us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Pearl, and everybody. Definitely check the chat for Pearl's contact information, and like she mentioned, she'll also be emailing so that you have her a way to get a hold of her in case you have any questions. She's outstanding, as you can tell. She knows her stuff and is very good at explaining it. So certainly thank you so much, Pearl. We really appreciate your time and expertise. So but definitely recommend anybody who has more questions, or like she said, you can sit down with her and she can help you through your screen to make sure you have everything set up on your side how you want it. So
and I do have my calendar link, so if you wanted to set up a 30-minute oh, sorry, Joanna, I think I overspoke on you. I apologize.
Nope.
But in my information, I do have my calendar link. So if you just want to set up a quick 30-minute one-on-one, hey, let's get to know each other even better, please feel free to do that as well.
I have to tell you, I noticed even your ring is your brand.
Yes.
Your brand color.
Yeah, so you can't really tell, but this is actually this one is a rosy pink, and then of course the amethyst.
Amethyst. And I was going to say, that's one of the things I talk about with my jewelry is to, obviously I'm not wearing my colors, but to brand yourself with your jewelry. So usually when I'm on a meeting that is a professional, more professional, not a learning, I'm in my colors. But even your jewelry is doing a good job.
Well, one of the services I offer besides events is also helping build your personal brand. So it's something I'm very passionate about, and especially helping business owners, women business owners, really understand what it means. And for me, it's about knowing who you are and presenting that to the world. That's really what personal brand, and then having all of your pieces, how you look, how you talk, all of that, express that. And so if you know who you are and you're just presenting that, it makes it a lot more authentic than us building you a personal brand.
Right. Thank you.